Hi there guys, so welcome to my newest video on my channel. We're doing a redesign of Weiss and we're going to go straight into it. So people are probably going to question like, why is Weiss's hair so short? And well, the main reason is in volume 7, I wasn't against the haircuts, but I think they were given to the wrong people. I thought that Blake didn't really have the biggest journey, more Yang and Weiss did. So I thought it would work best for Weiss because I always thought that a long hair was more of a choice of her father instead of herself. And so having her hair cut short would be a good way to show her rebellion against her father, whilst also being quite stylish and quite cute as well, because I've always found Weiss adorable. And hopefully if they ever did give her a haircut in the show, they do it good, and not like the cringy design they did for Blake. Okay, so moving on to the next design element of her body. Sorry, I am awkward. I've always loved her jacket from volume 1, and so I wanted to add that in and make it kind of like my own style as well. So she's got an over jacket with short sleeves, but as you can see I did gloves for her, so it still looks like she's worn in Atlas because we know the climate's cold, and the necklace has always been a nice touch. Okay, so for the boots I went for like knee high because I thought her boots in the show were way too high and so will restrict her movement. So I went for just below the knee, so it's still stylish, long, but also easy to move in. And I had a little pouch on her belt because pouches are cute, and I thought I'd draw her emblem on her belt as well, which we'll get to in a sec. That's me starting. Yeah, I had to like really look this up because Weiss's emblem is really hard, so it's not perfect, but I don't think it turned out too badly. As you can see, it's me just structuring it out, figuring out what needs to go where, because I don't think Weiss hates her emblem, and I think she would wear it with honor, but in her own way. So having it on her belt shows that yes, she is a Schnee, but she's not the Schnee that people think she should be. Which is why I put it on the belt. She's showing it off in her own little stylish way, which I thought really worked. Okay, so this is me colouring in the gloves black, because I really like the concept of Weiss having gloves in volume 7, but I hated that they went all the way up to the jacket, so I made sure they only went up to her elbow so a bit of skin was visible before it met the jacket. But the gloves are a nice touch because they'll draw your attention to the arms when she's holding her sword, rapier, fencing sword, whatever you want to call it, but also still be stylish and is a nice pop of darker colour against the rest of the outfits, and the pop of red in her collar that I've just shown you is a really good example of using pops of colours for Weiss, but don't use them as overpowering, because that royal blue jacket in volume 7 was just too much, and it didn't do any good job of showing off her white as cold and always yearning look. So having the blue, royal blue with a little pop like the frills, really draws the attention to the skirt, but also makes it clear that white is still her main colour. And so I added some pale grey tights. So it's a colder colour, but it's also suitable for our colour scheme, because we don't want her to have bare legs because Atlas is really cold, and so we want her legs to be protected. So the only bits of skin that are shown are a little bit of her arm, the chest area of her shirt, her neck and her face. So everything else is covered, so it's pretty good heat protection whilst not constricting her movements. Because we know that Weiss is a very nice dancer with her work and her sword fighting, so we wouldn't want her to wear a clunky outfit like she does in volume 7 and 8. And the pop of red on the belt makes sure it's separate from the dress, which makes it easier to spot and is also a nice little stylish addition. I had such a hard time putting it in over the emblem. I should have done the belt first, I think, but oh well, it still came out okay. And so moving on, I'd add a little pops of blue in the sleeve as well, just to discern that that's where the jacket lies. And even though I started off with the royal blue in the boots, I would change this later because I thought that it didn't quite work. It felt a little bit too dark for the boots and didn't really make it stand out as much as I thought. I was trying to do wedges, not heels on the boots too, but I kind of failed because I'm not very good at shoes. But the cute little ribbons to tie the shoes together I thought was a nice little touch. It's the elegant side of Weiss that she doesn't ignore, but it's also subtle enough that it's not her main definement. Is that the right word, definement, or is it definition? I don't know. So the scar you can see is there, alongside her eye colour, but it's sort of hidden in her hair, but not too much, so that she's showing it enough so that she's not afraid of it, but she doesn't want to show it off to the world because her father inflicted it on her, so it's not something that should define her. As you can remember in the trailer, that's how she got a scar, by the Armagigus, is that what it's called? The Armagigus? And the little light blue little pop in her jacket just splits it apart from her dress, so it's still very visible. And it's also a nice little nod back to her original design where she had little light blues as well. And it goes with her eyes, so it brings out her eyes as well, and I think that's really cool. So this is me now changing the boots because I thought the royal blue was just too much in one area, so mixing it with the ice blue that was there in the jacket would make this outfit a little bit more even. I'm sure my voice is dipping out a lot because I'm not used to a microphone just yet, but I'm sure people are thinking like, why the haircut so short? Well, it's because as much as I like her long hair, the way it's been done to one side kind of makes another side too heavy, and it's not very even. And it's also, I always thought it was her father's choice to have it that long because it looks quite regal, because I noticed that if you're richer, minus Blake's parents, you tended to have longer hair to show that you were elegant. So I thought that making Weiss's outfit elegant but having her hair short would be a nice comparison and make her rebellious as well as kind of cutesy. And I tried to nail her skin tone. She's quite pale, but I think it's a tiny bit too pale, but we'll work with that another time. But this was just like a concept design. Whoops! That's not the microphone. This was just a little concept design of what I would wanted Weiss to be in for the show. So I wanted to forego the tiara as well because I thought that after so long, Weiss would ditch the tiara and ditch the royal thing. Like, it's still there, but it's not prominent. So having a cute little headband with a little snowflake on it as well would be a nice nod back to her heritage and her style. But it's not overly royal. It's more, I wouldn't say regal, but aristocratic. But not like the princess she was painted to be. And the little red earrings, that's one thing I liked about her Volume 7 design, was the little earrings she wore. I thought they were really cute. So yeah, I had a little hard time with her hair parting, so I wasn't quite sure to do it, so I just settled for that in the end and just said, it's probably fine. Because I spent ages doing the torso first, like I drew that before I did the video because I had such a hard time getting it right, so I copied Ainlee, and that was me messing up a background right there. Ainlee's concept design body for Volume 4 is what I used for Weiss because I couldn't figure out her body shape, so I used that as just like her pose so I could do all the design stuff that I was needed. This is just me cleaning up a little bit as well, but we'll get to the jacket in a minute, and because I wasn't quite sure whether she was going to have anything on the back, but then I settled for something that would really link her back to routine but also being on the back, so it wouldn't really overpower her design, but it would be cool when she's turning around doing her spins, you could catch a glimpse of it, which is a nice nod to routine. But we'll get to that in a minute. And so far, I've really liked Volume 8. I think it's probably like the second best volume. I think my favourite's to Volume 6 because Alone in the Woods was such an intense episode and it was so brilliant. And I always liked Adam's demise. I wasn't angry like other fans were. I always thought it was cool. So, yeah. And I did the pouch blue. I was kind of iffing and affing over what colour that should be for a while. But yeah, I just spent like a good amount of time just tidying up because I was like, ooh, sketchy lines. No, I don't like sketchy lines. I do, but it didn't really work for this, so I just cleared it up a little bit so it could be like a design I'm proud of, because I really like this design. It's a really nice nod to Volume 1 whilst also being like still creative. And for the back, I decided for the jacket was to do the other emblems of Team RWBY. So this took me a while though, as you can see, because everything was like so hard, especially Ruby's. That one took me the longest because her design's so complicated for her emblem and I kept getting it wrong. As you can see here, I was just having a hard time. I didn't give up, but I drew it too big, then I just shrink it afterwards, but in the end it worked really well. I thought it was like a nice nod, and it was only an outline, it's not shaded in black, it's literally just the outline of the emblem, so it's still all white in the back, but the little black lines show the emblem, so it's not too over the top. I had to shrink this afterwards though, because it took up the whole back for it to work. So yeah, that's me shrinking it, and I did it in kind of like a diagonal form, because I tried to do it in like a triangle, but I couldn't fit it all in, and I thought it would just give it a nice different layer if we did it in a more diagonal style. I'm probably babbling so much because I'm not used to talking on a microphone at all, but There you go. Like, I didn't even know what Blake's emblem was too much because it's not really very visible in her newer designs, which is fine, but it kind of takes away the concept that Monty had. And then I had a hard time doing the outline of Yang's, which is my favourite emblem, by the way. Yang's emblem's awesome, but Ruby's is a close second for sure, and I quite like Emerald's. So yeah, because even though they inhabit the colours of their team, it's never really enough to point out who they're part of. So it would be kind of cool if they did have little nods to their emblems or something on their designs, which is what I went for Weiss, but like did all of them because it was more fun. It would be a nice touch and shows how much she cares for her team. She's very motherly to them, I think, or sisterly, however you want to put it. She cares deeply for them all, but of course Ruby's emblem would be first because they're best friends. Maybe shipped. I don't know. I don't know if I want them to be canon or not yet, but I hope if they are that they do it well, because I think they're kind of hinting towards it, but it might not be till the final volume. Speaking of which, I like, just while I'm sketching over this, it's like, I really love and hate Ironwood. Like, he's one of the most consistently written characters in RWBY, but he's also like horrible. Like, he's so murderous now, and I blame his semblance, because that's the most annoying thing about him. There is his semblance is like, it's so unnecessary, why? But if you ignore the semblance, he's a brilliant character. So you just kind of trump it out a little bit. But yeah, there you go. That's the concept design of Weiss all done, and I hope you like it. I tried to make it warm-ish for Atlas, but also her sort of style, like it would still flow with her movements. So I want to know what you think. So tell me what you think in the comments, and the next design will either be Blake or Yang.